have started recording so I can get the evidence.
I need the proof.
Need the proof. Now say what you were saying again.
I love you with all my heart.
And welcome back to Down with the Get Down. It's your boy Romel.
And your boy Derek.
Appreciate y'all coming through for another little video. We got a good topic today. One of the older ones, but still a currently relevant one. And also we have a special guest, recurring guest, of course, Miss Heavenly Sequoia. How you feeling? How you living?
Hello.
Appreciate you coming for another one. We really wanted a female perspective for this one. And if you guys are watching, us on YouTube right now or just playing us in the background, we got a little gameplay, a little GTA 5 going on. We're like, what's something that we can play? I was like, what's something we can play and get this topic in where I ain't got to think much.
Basically, yeah.
Facts. But we can go ahead and hop straight into it. As far as the topic for today, we are discussing the man versus bear topic. So as far as that topic, there's been a lot of controversy. I know, especially on TikTok, of people choosing the man, and people are on choosing the bear, and people are very. It's been very controversial on I feel like the side of choosing the man, and people are getting upset about it. But I say you can elaborate a little bit more on that, Derek.
Well, I mean, people are upset. Like, I don't know, it's really dumb. So it's like a lot of women are choosing a bear for kind of dumb reasons. And then, like, there are dudes that are upset that they won't pick a man because they think it's stupid. And so that's
Yeah.
just where, like, the divide is, basically.
Yeah. So Haven and I were actually Heavenly and I were actually talking about this earlier when we were discussing the topic. I was briefing her on it, and she brought up some decent points on her end. When I realized that the conversation, I thought it was just mainly okay if you're trapped in a situation with them. I didn't realize, okay, cool, this in general.
Yeah, it's just a general thing. Like, when the question was asked, there's not really any, like, clarification to anything. It's just, if you're in the woods, would you rather be in the woods with a man or a bear? That's it.
Tight. Well, with that being said, I'll say, Heavenly, what is your stance on the situation? And we can all give our stances on it, and then we can get straight into it.
I think it would be best for you guys to go first.
Ah, okay. Well, okay. As far as for me, I choose the side of a bear because I'm like, okay, which one would I rather be in immediate danger, or do I want to be in a possibility of danger? And I'd rather take a possibility. I feel like that's a lot safer situation.
Yep.
What about you,
You
Derek?
said the bear, though.
I mean, fuck the man.
I was confused.
Ah, my
Yeah,
bad.
you kind of stopped me right there.
Ah, my
Yeah,
fault, my fault, my fault. I'm over here
that's why
trying
I
to
was.
figure out how to get in, and I was like, oh, I'm not a part of your agency. Just said you gotta send me the invite, so I had to buzz in. So it
Oh,
made
yeah,
me
yeah, yeah, my
forget.
bad.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
choose the
yeah.
man.
Nah, yeah, I choose the man too. It's the logic-based choice.
Yeah. As far as for you, Heavenly, what side do you choose?
That was so quick.
No, I'm gonna get into like reasons why and stuff like that. But I was like, let's go ahead, like where we stand, and then we can talk about it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Um, hmm. My true stance would be either or, but for the sake of the conversation, I would choose the bear. My whole reasonings on being the either or is just because of what ifs or somewhat possibilities, if that makes sense.
No, I feel you.
Yeah, like, so my answer is more than likely always going to be like the dude,
Mhm.
but depending on certain, like, scenarios that you might
Mhm.
pose, I might pick a
Mm,
bear, right? Like,
Mhm.
would I pick Jason Voorhees or a sleeping bear? Obviously, I'm going to pick a sleeping bear.
Mhm. So what were Derek? What were the? Because you said stupid points for the women. Um, and I'm not asking this question because I am a woman, but I actually do want to know, like, what did you consider stupid?
So, I mean, When I say stupid, it's
Mhm.
mostly just because the points that they were given were all based off of emotion only.
Mhm.
There wasn't really like any like logic to it. It's just a lot of people that were hurt by somebody, and they're bringing that into saying like all men are like terrible people, and so they would trust a bear over a man. And they also said like they would much rather, what did they say? Like the worst thing a bear can do is kill me,
Mhm.
but a man can do much worse,
Mhm.
which is not true.
It's like, and then I like when looking into the situation, I do agree with you. It's like, yeah, being with a man is like, yeah, it's a 50. What I was saying for me, it's a 50-50 chance. It's a 50-50% of being attacked in a situation, or you just by another stranger that could be looking at you
Mhm.
in the same situation, being like, oh, you could possibly be dangerous as well. It's a lot more chances versus being okay, cool with a bear. I did. You brought up some good points prior to the conversation when me and Heavenly were talking. You brought up the point of with a bear, we all know it's guaranteed death. We all know it's guaranteed death, but the possibility could be scarier. I don't think I don't think that's something we can't take out of the equation. But I do think that when it comes with the possibility, I think the possibility just feels a little bit stronger.
Mhm.
Feels a little bit stronger of the possibility of safety versus like, do I have to try to talk this bear down the ledge or try to look bigger than him, and that could go with death instantly.
And I think that's why I wasn't like truly picking a side because I see both sides. I could understand why I get why men would be, well, for those specific men would be upset because women are saying I'm going to choose the bear because they are coming off of either trauma or, well, what could happen, because with the, like we said earlier, a bear could definitely kill you in an instant or within maybe 3 hours versus a man, his primal instincts, depending on how long you guys are in there. Women can withstand having sex for a long time. Men, on the other hand, some men, not all, but just generally, men, their urges, start to get kind of chaotic. So for the woman, she's thinking of all of these different things that could happen with a man versus with the bear. She knows one or two things. Either I could walk away fine, the bear walks away, or the sleep bear, or whatever you want to call it, or he's going to kill me instantly. But I know one of these two options. And if it's the latter, then I know, okay, that's what it is. So it's more accepting versus being trapped with a man. Because there's more possibilities. But I personally feel like men should not get upset. And the reason why is because, if for one, that in your heart, your mind, whatever, that you're not that type of person that they're trying to portray on all men, then it shouldn't bother you. This should be one of those type of topics, controversial topics, that literally just rolls off your shoulder. You see what I'm saying?
So, yeah, so I want to clarify just a few things. Most of the men that are like upset about it, it's not necessarily they're upset with the decision. They're more so upset with and it's only a few women that are doing this. A
Mhm.
lot, like those women are generalizing all men as this, right? So,
Mhm.
like, I have an issue with it, not with their choice. I don't care about their choice necessarily. I have a problem with people generalizing groups of people based off of like a small minority of instances. And so that's what a lot of dudes are like kind of coming from, is that
Mhm.
perspective of like, hey, you shouldn't generalize people because that can be
Yeah.
attributed to like multiple other things that we don't
Mhm.
want to go into. But also the misconception that like a bear instantly kills you is not true either. Bears kill you like over a few days. They eat you from like the bottom up. The only reason a bear would kill you instantly is if their like children are around. So like technically you do get tortured by a bear. So
Well,
and
I mean,
also
yeah,
like
but we're not going into like the deep
no.
specifics of those
No,
type
no,
of
no.
details.
I
But
know
no,
that, but I'm
I
just saying
understand
like people like the women that talk about it,
those
like their
specific group.
argument is well, it's most people. Like when they talk about it, they just think like, okay, well, I'm gonna get insta killed by a bear, so then I won't have to worry about anything else. But like a guy can like torture me, but like both can happen with a bear and a man.
Well, that's true. I think it's just more of it just being a jerk, like a jerk answer.
Yeah, I think like people, a lot of it too is like there's a lot of people that don't understand different things with animals.
Mm.
Like they just think it's like a base thing, like a bear's just gonna do whatever, and then like that's it. It's
Well,
gonna
that's
eat
why it
you and
goes
then
into
hibernate.
being like a jerk, reaction. Because, like you said, a lot of people don't know, and
Yeah.
just speaking for a lot of women, they probably don't know, so that's what they're gonna go with.
I honestly didn't know from my standpoint, and even though I choose the man in the situations, I didn't even consider the fact that bears would have you that long. Even like
Yeah, they try to
now with that in my head, like yeah, it does make it a little stronger of being like
they
damn.
yeah, bears try to eat like fresh food, so they try to preserve your life as long as possible so they can eat you over time. Also, like the argument that like some women say like a bear wouldn't grape me, but a man would. Is also not true because all mammals grape, and there was a case that a bear did grape a man, so you're not technically safe from that either.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just it's a very, very sucky, controversial topic.
I think it does boil down into the personals. Like
Yeah.
that's where the base of a lot of the women's arguments that I was seeing on the situation and on the men's
Mhm.
arguments that were arguing for the women, they kept going for the jugulars. They hitting you with the haymakers. Oh,
Mhm.
grape. Oh, they people acting weird. You got the situations that's happening now. No Diddy. So it's like it's when you think about that, you think about creepy dudes in weird situations causing problems. So that's way worse than fuck it. I'm finna just fight this animal. It's gonna kill me regardless, and
Mhm.
that's a more honorable death. I feel like than being used up by a man. And then if you have been used by a man or abused by a man, then you be like shit. Never again. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be
Mhm.
me. Hell no. So a lot of those arguments are coming from there, and then people who are basing those arguments, we feel you, we understand you, we see you in those situations. But then when they bring up the as a general topic, it's like when you bring up the same conversation as I would say abortion, they'd be like, oh, why would you kill babies? So and so. But like, well, why would you do all this situation? Because in the minority of the conversation that usually comes into that situation will always be the extremes. Will be, oh well, what would happen if a woman got raped and she don't want the kid? That's adult. That does happen, and it is a prevalent situation. But in the majority, it's not the majority of people that get pregnant. So then they make that as the argument just to go ahead and just do stuff, and that they want to make that, but that wasn't even your situation, but you're arguing for it like it was. And so I think that's similar to the conversation that we're talking about with the Bears, where people are picking out the minority of those arguments and then making it and trying to make it the majority when it's not the majority. And you would be in a more dangerous situation ultimately being with a bear than you would be with a person. And then these guys, and some of these guys, they are getting in their chest about it. And I can be like, oh man, I get you, I feel you, I get how you feeling or whatever. But if it like Heavenly said, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Really, you don't have to get that deep into it. But then I get like that we do have to combat those strong arguments that end up happening. Because I feel
Mhm.
like when you let those arguments go too far or they get too much traction and influence, then people start, getting brainwashed and they think that's literally what happens on a daily.
Mhm.
Well, Like, I agree. The only problem that I have with like if it doesn't apply, let it fly is like if we continue to do that necessarily, like it kind of formulates a something that can happen with like youth to
Hmm.
where like with how like they're generalizing all men to be like a certain type of way, right? And they're using statistics incorrectly. For somebody who is a younger woman and then hearing this and then not really like if we all just kind of accepted it without any pushback, it can really fuck her like view up of other people, you know? And also it can fuck up the viewpoints of other men as well by telling them like, hey, you're prone to being a terrible individual just because you were born a dude.
It's like like fear
So
mongering.
like I mean kind of yeah in a way like I just think that it's if we combat people that generalize other things, then we should combat people that generalize all things, is my thing.
I
If you're
feel it.
going to generalize, like, I have issues with, like, people like Fresh and Fit that generalize, like, the majority of women, right?
Yeah.
I have issue with that. I have issue with the women that are generalizing all men to be a certain type of way. I have a problem with people that try to generalize all black people. So, like, if you're going to generalize people, I'm going to have issue with it and I'm going to talk about it. Regardless of if it applies to me or not, like you're generalizing a whole group of people and that's wrong.
Yeah.
Yep, you gotta be some type that comes because then those polarizing conversations is crazy because it's like everybody's like, I
It
mean,
happens on both ends,
yeah,
which just sucks. It's like always tit for tat.
Yeah, and I mean it's weird because there's always like niggas trying to make a little war with men and women.
and that's the thing. That's like the one of the oldest conversations unintentionally is always the men versus women. It's like they find some way to pit us against each other when in reality we got to be working together in a lot of these situations.
It's going to continue on this way
I mean,
for a
yeah, I
long
mean,
time.
they like a lot of this conversation gets picked up by women that hate men and men that have issues with the women that hate men.
Yeah,
So it never really like dies out. It's just gonna continue to like happen. Like I mean, even this conversation, it's been
Excuse me,
going on
you're
for like
about to
two
buy
months now,
something? Yes.
Yeah.
and people are still on like different sides.
Oh
And
no, not
like
again. Okay, okay. I know
the
the drill.
argument is just kind of getting like worse and worse because over time, like people are like, uh, when they use like the statistics that they use and say
I
like
swear this happens at least once a month.
women are more likely to like get assaulted and stuff like that.
yeah,
It's actually you're more likely to get assaulted by like a family member than like a random individual, which is what another part of the argument is like people try to come from it from people try to come from feelings and then people try to come from logic. And a lot of people are trying to mix the logic with their feelings as well.
so they're trying to mix it with what now?
They're trying to mix their feelings and the logic with it as well, right? So like if you say, well, you're more likely to be assaulted by a family member than a random man, so therefore you should choose the man. That is logic based because logically you're more likely nothing's going to happen to you.
Oh, hey, your mic is kind of staticky. You might want to maybe plug it back in. Couldn't hear you for a second, but yeah,
Hear me?
that's fine. Try it again.
Can you hear me okay?
How does it sound to you, Heaven?
It's still like a little, like staticky, like a little blocky. I mean, choppy. But you can like still understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, I still
That's
hear you.
weird. Damn, I forgot what I was saying. Hopefully this shit fixes itself though. But I mean, these are older headphones. I had this shit since like 2018. So
Yeah. Well, you still sound clear. You sound clear. So that's the most important thing. You don't sound like the Wi-Fi warrior.
right. I have a quick side note.
Yeah.
Nigga, where are you?
Oh, I took off because I didn't. You never invited me to your stuff.
I thought I did, and I'm over here fighting for my fucking life.
Nope. I've just been watching him ride around and shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You're
He was
playing.
in it with the cops.
You're playing GTA 5. I'm playing Grand Theft Auto 5.
I'm over here needing help, and I'm just like, I've been fine, but I started dying a lot, and I'm like, okay.
I saw you were dying, and I was like, "What's happening?"
Pain.
Wow. He said, I saw you were dying.
And I was like,
And
I
said,
was like,
"What's
I thought you were in the
happening?"
middle of doing something. So I was like, you didn't say, "Hey, you just now saying something." So I was like, oh.
You are just now saying something.
You know what? That doesn't matter. From your
Oh, he
from your
killed a cop.
actions now, and your actions the other day, regardless that you were getting a new phone, I'm
I'm
now
dead.
picking the bear.
I'm dead. He want to bring up old stuff, y'all. So no, you know, since you gonna bring it up, I'm gonna talk about it. So-
I'm now picking the bear. Men cannot be trusted.
I'm dead. All right, so Mother's Day. Happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there if anybody's listening. But as far as I just got back from Memphis, y'all, and this man got upset with me because I just got a new phone. So I just upgraded my iPhone. And then while I was in there, the process got a little bit longer than it was supposed to because I did the traditional route, and this shit was like, oh, it's supposed to be 3 hours. I said, hell no. I had to, do it the right way. iCloud, back up the phone, you know how to go. So that went through a little bit smoother, and I was chilling after that. But mind you, in the middle of that, Derek calls me while my phone is going through this transition. I see that he calls me. He's at work, and he actually asks us. He said, "Hey, before you head out, did you want to stop by, say what's up?" I'm at work, and I'm chilling, and I'm like, I never texted him back.
Most of the story, he declined the call.
More of the score, yeah, I did decline it because I couldn't answer it. And at first, I said, "Who number is this?"
Sure did.
And then I looked at it. I said, "Wait, that's
he didn't
Derek."
just decline the. No, you didn't just decline the call. He didn't send me the text afterwards.
I was
had to
sitting
wait
there
till
watching.
I had to wait till my phone got back up. This man thought I cheated on him, y'all.
I did. My heart was
Horrible.
hurt, and that's why I'm picking the bear now.
But you know what?
What?
He was with me. So he was.
Yeah. It's fine.
He said, yeah. Sounds about right. It says supposed to be a parachute over here. Oh, it's right here. Oh, wait, that was not a parachute. I don't know.
But more of the other story is I just think that people shouldn't generalize other people based off of a small, minute cases.
Yeah.
Word.
Because if you look at, like, I'm not going to do, like, the numbers, but, like, all of the instances of anything wrong happening with men towards women, it's less than, I think, 5% of the male population. So using that as an argument for not wanting to be. Oh, also, they were saying that, like, a bear's natural habitat is the woods, so they wouldn't be afraid because that's where the bear is supposed to be, and a man isn't supposed to be in the woods, so therefore they would be scared, and they would pick the bear.
So you'd be like, oh, the man doesn't know what's happening, so he's just gonna freak out. He's just gonna spaz on their ass.
I just feel like it's a case by case scenario. They should go by that instead of the generalization. Like, it's a case by case.
I think that, like,
But how do we get them to change that? How do we get them to change that, though? My bad.
You're not gonna. It's
something
hard to
happened.
get people that are, like, traumatized to, like, see reason because they're already fucked up in the head anyways.
But we also
For
know
lack
that's
of
the
better words.
minority. So since that's the minority, then it's really the.
mean,
I
that's
always
that's still
say
the
the
mi-
media is what's driving these situations. So when you see because those get more clicks than anything. The stuff that actually makes sense whatever makes sense is not gonna get the most clicks.
Well, I mean, that's not true either.
And
Shit that don't make
and
sense
so,
gets more clicks
like,
sometimes.
but that's why I said. That's why I said everything. I said stuff that makes sense doesn't always get as many clicks, but stuff that
Oh, I
doesn't make
thought you
sense.
said it the opposite way. My
No,
bad.
no, no, no. Oh, you good?
But
I
but
may
I
have,
mean,
but
oh, okay. But no, I mean, like, it's kind of well, even with them saying like a bear is in its natural habitat and like a man isn't, that's still kind of dumb. Because then, motherfucker, why are you in the woods? Like, the 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 problem with the question is that, well, the problem with the answer is that people never really asked for clarification. They just kind of answered it.
I said jerk
And I think
reaction.
hmm
right, and I think that more people wouldn't have an issue with this if there was context given to the question. So
You-
like if you got asked the question and you were just like, "Hey, before I choose, like why am I in the woods and why is there a man or a bear?" Or what kind of man and what kind of bear, right? Because like I will say a lot of women decided to change their answer when they were asked if they would rather be in the woods with a man or a polar bear. So a lot of it just kind of comes down to what they think is more aggressive.
that's true. I throw a devil's advocate on the situation because from your jerk reaction, it comes off more like the boom. Your jerk reaction is logical. Why the fuck would I want to get eaten by a bear? I would rather be in a situation with a dude, regardless. If it comes to survival, do you feel? Would you say that would be your jerk reaction?
Like mine?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I mean like there's more benefit to being in the woods with a random man than a fucking bear.
Yes. And then and so in those situations, that's why I was like, yeah, it's I feel like it's easier. I feel like it's easier for us to look at it from that standpoint and then stand on the stance of logic because we're like because it's a million and one chance. Not I wouldn't say million and one, just saying numbers out there just for the fuck's sake of it. But it's less of a chance of us being in a situation with a bear, and we're always around dudes in just real life. So we like this ain't nothing. But from the female stance, I think they don't understand that we honestly do realize their stance as well. Like we already took that stance into consideration, but we're already like processing it to be like, yeah, I still would rather be in that. It's like
Yeah, I mean,
flesh
like
eating monster sounds way worse than than a possible flesh eating person. That shit sound crazy, but like
I mean, yeah, a lot of it is like because they believe their experience like matters, like anecdotal experiences matter, even though technically they don't when you're talking about like a logic-based like thing. They assume that like we don't understand or we just don't care or something like that.
yeah, I feel like we
Their
got at this
position
point
is like
you gotta
super.
make the conversation like that question. You gotta low key, like you said, when it
You
is a
gotta
polar
give
bear.
detail. You
Yeah,
gotta give
Yeah, I mean like their
clarification on what you're
position.
trying to like get the answer for.
because
Yeah,
because that makes it
they're
even
they're
make more of a 50-50 now on reaction.
I guess they their position is like extremely easy to like understand. It's just like a lot of these people are just unwilling to hear the other perspective, and it just happens when you're like when you have like trauma. It's very hard to like hear somebody disagree with you because it makes you feel like they're invalidating like your experience,
hmm
even though like your experience isn't the experience of most other people. And that's the issue with the internet also is that with it being on the internet and you being able to be surrounded by people that have experienced the same thing as you, it gives you a bias to make you think that this thing is occurring more often than it is, even though it's not.
hmm That's why, like, well, when I was talking about the 50% of a reaction. So when you say that question the way it is, man versus woman. I mean, man versus bear.
Yes, man versus woman.
Yes, man versus woman. But no, man versus bear in those situations. Now I'm kind of getting a vibe of more like, yeah, you could take that as a, like she said, jerk reaction, and on the other end of being like, I don't want to be around dudes. Because
Hmm.
like you can't, because you might not even take the conversation as a logical question. You might take that,
Facts.
you might take man versus, like you said, man versus woman, jerk reaction. Fuck these hoes. you, just, you just like your jerk reaction is like that, or like, because you don't know content. Oh man, well, would you rather be in the forest with man versus, or bear versus tiger? Your jerk reaction might be bear. Jerk reaction might be tiger. But then you put, like you said, a little context, put little details in there, then you can classify it as a logical question.
How are you?
That scared me.
It's a red. I walked past one of your front desk dudes. He said, "How are you?"
No.
I was like, okay, good. How are you?
Now, I was tripping off the first one when I went when I went on the stairs. Bro was like, "You seem cool. Come here."
Okay.
I said, "I
My
appreciate
niggas
it, big
are
dog."
being weird.
That wouldn't bother
But
me for a second. Would throw me off.
but yeah, I mean, I think that like I said, like I genuinely only have a problem with people just generalizing groups of people based off of like small shit.
Hmm.
And saying like because this was my experience, that's the reason that I answered that way. And like I get that if that's the reason you answered that way based off of your experience. But then it's an issue when you're just like, yeah, and because of this experience, all people are like this.
Yeah, you like so.
It's
Folks
a
just
it's a
really just
no.
need to. Folks really just need to hit us with the. In my personal opinion, because of the situation
Nah,
that
these
I've been
niggas
through.
need therapy.
No, I'm talking about if you're gonna post your stuff out there, like obviously yeah, therapy too. But if you're gonna post your situation and you're gonna talk about something personally, I think you should preface it with saying this is my personal opinion. This is why I think this way, and you don't have to take that. But this is how I feel. And
Well,
then said, yeah.
that's the issue with what I was talking about earlier is like they use their anecdotal experience and then they mix it with like a statistic, right? So they'll say like this happened to me and one in whatever women will experience the same thing, therefore all men are like this, right? So you're mixing two different things together.
Hmm.
And so it doesn't matter if it's your experience or whatever, now you're making it more than like just that.
Hmm.
Like
Is
for
it?
example, like I met this chick, right? And she hates
Hey, it's Ken.
like black
Hey,
people, right?
movement.
Because
That
she
motherfucker
got
Tom gave
raped
me your
by like
number.
this dude
You gonna pick
and
something
his
up for me?
friends.
I ain't
Hmm.
talking about no weed,
Um,
nigga. I'm talking about them house
and
shoes.
though I can
I need them
understand the
house shoes,
reason as to
dog.
why she
You can
feels
only
that
get
way
them at the
because of
swap
what
meet in
happened to
Davis
her,
Mega
that
Mall.
still
Them
doesn't
bitches
make
out
what you
cold.
said
I
or
usually
the
get
way
them
that you
myself.
feel like
Just
correct.
ain't got the time
So
right
you can
now.
feel a certain
I
type of
see
way
you at
based
the
off the
club later,
experience that you have,
motherfucker.
but the way that you feel still isn't right. Just like Liam Neeson, how he was like a racist for a little bit because his daughter got brutally beat up by a whole bunch of niggas, and he was like, I started seeing black people as like differently, and then he realized that he had like a problem, and that he was forming hatred towards black people based off of his niece getting assaulted by like black people. Though like I understand the reason as to why he came to that like conclusion, that still is not
What up, though?
correct.
It's
It's
me.
still wrong.
You get that package? I need them house
Type.
shoes. I need them bitches. They're part of my
No,
life.
that's.
Bring
I
that
mean, that makes.
OG
I
out
mean,
in the back.
that
I need
always
to
makes the
step
most
into
sense in the
life with
situation.
that
It's just
motherfucker.
just
Just
have
them
to
feel good
seeing both
situations for
sides for
my
some reason.
toes.
Just
Where they
always
at?
feels
I'm waiting for 'em.
rough when it's too drastic, and it doesn't help in situations where you do like I'll say I bring the situation up. So I saw this one guy on TikTok. I can't remember his name, but he was when he was talking about the situation, he was getting upset that he was like, hey, he completely validated with the woman experience. He completely validated how they felt. Um, but he was like really trying to separate the conversation because he was like wanting to make a space for men to feel vulnerable because he was like it genuinely upsetting how many women were like being ugly in his comment section or trauma dumping in his comment section about the situation, and he just wanted to talk about how it was upsetting to him as a man that women feel this uncomfortable with him, and he already deals with that as being a black man. Like damn near, I have to, every time I walk out, I'm walking out. I might be making somebody uncomfortable. I'm seeing somebody feel some type of way tense up when I'm walking around the corner, and he was talking about like that's what he deals with, and how and then when he brought that conversation up, that's when all the women in there are like, well, this is what I deal with. This is what you know how it goes or whatever. Everybody's telling their sob story or telling their truth or whatever when it wasn't asked for. So he felt some type of way. So what would be your how do you think about that?
I mean, yeah, like I said, like the problem is, and it's more so on some of the women's side, is they think that we're still invalidating their experience by going against necessarily what they're saying.
Hmm.
And so that makes them upset, so then they become dickheads.
Mm.
Just, I mean, dudes do the same thing sometimes with certain other instances or whatever. Like, if he was talking about the way that he felt, and then they were just like, yeah, but like this happened to me, and then he got upset, that would be the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
I was
They
about to,
would be,
I was right about
he
that. I was
would
like
feel
that's
like
a
they were invalidating his experience that he's talking about. And me personally, I just don't really give a fuck. Your experience doesn't mean anything necessarily to the conversation at hand. Though I understand it, right? It's
mm.
irrelevant to me. That's
And
why I don't try to use anecdotal experiences to make a point with something, because your anecdotal experience means very little, considering like it's not the majority.
and heavenly on your end, I was like from the female experience. I mean, the woman experience, and like to stray away from saying that word female, but from the woman experience, do you feel like guys have you seen trauma dumping on our side? Like when it comes to when they bringing up this topic, man versus bear, do you feel like dudes are coming from a emotional standpoint too, when they're trying to say, why would you feel like that? Why do you feel like you gotta choose a dude? Why you gotta like any situations where you've noticed that?
Um, I haven't seen like too many videos, but I've been more like I'm the comment section checker, and I have seen a couple of like 101 or like a lot of people commenting on like one certain comment,
Mm,
and I did see a couple of men that were in that stance of like, well, why would you sit there and say that? And there was this one personal one. Oh my god, it got so personal. They actually knew each other. I deep dived. Um, but he went off the sense of we had been together basically like for some years. So is that how like you look at me? Like regardless of us being together, is that how you look at me? And her stance was, no, that's not how I look at you. But instead of her saying logically, she said realistically, I would choose the bear. So then like he went down his whole thing, and he was validated getting his feelings. So
mm,
I do feel like men should be validated for how they feel, because if women can sit here and say how they feel about it and push all of this on them, then men should be able to say how they feel, post their videos, their reactions and stuff like that. But I I feel on both ends it shouldn't be taken as far as it has been taken, because I have seen some women's videos actually real deal downgrading the man instead of sticking to the
Stick it
topic.
to the man. I just want.
And but then I've also seen a couple of videos of some men that have also been downgrading the women because of their choice that they made in their little, as you quoted earlier, sob stories. um so I that's why I said that it's very sucky and everybody just keeps going at it with a jerk reaction. Not a lot of people are really doing what we're doing, sitting here just having a general conversation, no feelings hurt, both sides are being understood. You know what I mean? But obviously, like, that's not the world that we live in.
But that's
Each
just
side's
because
gonna
we
be
all
stuck
know each
up.
other.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if we, how can I put that?
No, that is kind of. I guess. Oh, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're good. It lost me and I lost it.
Oh, you're good. I was like, that's kind of like I have ran into those situations where you are having a conversation with someone who, like, you're not that close to. They don't know you. They don't know you as well as like as we know each other. So we know how to talk to each other. And I've been in conversations. You told me plenty of conversations with like coworkers, and I've been in conversations with coworkers where it'll get a little like the conversations will be jerk reactions when you come at them with the type of conversation like how we're having. When we're saying like, hey, this is how I get it, and then you're trying to also let them know that you understand where they're coming from, but for you to even have an opposite reaction to them makes them be like, you the ops. Like, what's wrong with you? You're crazy. And I think in this it's like the same situation like we're doing with the man versus bear. It just makes people turn against each other because they're just like, this is you're fucking dumb for even having that the audacity to even side with it.
Well, another, which I'll say two things. I have seen dudes that come at it like super emotionally, and those niggas are weird. Um, because they're kind of coming from like the like you should choose me. Why won't you choose me? I'm not
Mhm.
dangerous at all, nigga. You sound like you're dangerous,
Facts.
You're making me
right? Like,
nervous.
and I also have issue with the dudes that. And this is gonna sound weird, but I have issues with like the dudes that side with the women
Hmm.
because the way that they come across, it sounds like one of those weird nice guys where like they kind of like shit on dudes and like yeah, they should feel this way because dudes are horrible,
That's what it
and all this
is.
other
That's
stuff.
exactly what it is. Well, I was like, something about it did not make me feel good about seeing the dudes
Yeah,
that were
and
like that.
and I'm like,
It's
and
not
I'm
real.
when I hear them, I'm just like, yeah, she should definitely choose the bear if she gonna be in there with you,
If it was like
Mhm.
a pick me,
type thing.
like that, it
Because
was like
like
a
you
pick me type of
sound
dude.
like a predator. And there's a lot of dudes that are like that, like the ones that are like really hardcore trying to like fight for that perspective because like it's weird because they're fighting for the perspective of the women that are generalizing all men and
Hmm.
you're also a man, so you're like cool with it. And like it's different if you're gay, but like a lot of these dudes have been straight, and I'm just like, you guys seem dangerous.
They're coming off like the I'm gonna tell you what you wanna. Well, I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear type of situation. Like I'm getting on the dude's case so I can look better in the situation. Like a Derrick Jackson. Like like
Yeah,
like
they're
it's kind
they're
of.
like the yeah, men are terrible. Hey, since we agree on that, can I like get some nudes? They're like those people.
That's how they're coming off, and it's like some like you can. It doesn't matter how genuine you're coming off. It's if you're not being in conversations like this. I feel like if you're not being genuine on both ends and taking both ends and dissecting it. Like, okay, cool. You went off of your genuine jerk reaction and you stood on it in a disrespectful way. And then you get all these people riled up, and then sometimes a lot of these folks out here doing it on purpose. So I don't know, like the viewer, like anybody who's watching right now, or we're listening wherever you are, like it's in those situations you have to have like a heart of discernment of being like, all right, cool. Like they going, if you see somebody going a little too hard and being on that, then I was like, you might want to look at it as a little like off. I mean, that's just me personally. I look at it as like, okay, if you're going too hard for one side and you're not even trying to give any notice to the other side, because like right now in this conversation, we're touching all bases.
Yeah, well, that's because a lot of women have been talking about how, like, in their view, the men that are against like their decision, they're against it because the male ego is hurt because we think that a bear is safer than a man or something like that. So like they think that I don't know, they think of it very weirdly. Just like the women that I'm talking about, think of it like very weirdly, and
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons why they don't try to give any validity to like how dudes are kind of like coming across and talking about it because they think that we're just I don't know, being weird. I don't know, it's weird.
To me, when you operate in the extremes, nothing ever goes through.
Yeah, and then like because the question was posed to women and dudes have an opinion, apparently that's an issue also. Even though it was posted on the internet, so like anybody can have any opinion about it. But I guess fuck that, right? I don't know.
It makes too much sense. I mean, yeah,
I,
that's the problem. If it makes too much sense.
I guess a nigga just didn't know how the internet worked.
Mm-mm-mm. Well, shit. Well, I'm about to say, if anybody got anything left in the tank for this topic,
No.
No, not necessarily. I mean, pick what you want to pick, just don't generalize people.
for sure. Heavenly, you have any final remarks?
Mm-mm.
All right, well, I appreciate y'all coming through for another DWG topic. If y'all have any comments, and put it in the comment section below. If you guys have any things you want us to listen to, you want us to talk about, go ahead and drop those down in the comment section below as well. Go ahead and like, share.
And if you're down with the get down, go ahead and subscribe.